Huh? Why you sound like that? maybe unmute myself. Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Forte. Shout out to everybody. Dares Per Second Podcast, episode 175. Going to be a great one. Going to talk about a couple of different things. Talk about, Slow Mo and his infamous tweet that he put out Friday last week. Yeah, your infamous tweet that you put out. You know what you did. Well, we're going to talk about. Yeah, you know what you did. We're going to talk about your tweet. We're going to talk about your tweet that you put out last week that called out half the community. We're going to talk about that for a second.
I thought I did that today. I don't know. Look, man.
Look, you're always doing something. So
I put out a tweet every day that is probably calling out 75%
that's
of the community.
Problematic. Yes, definitely. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Xbox hardware. If they did release some over the next year or so, is it really going to change their future? We're also talking about Dead Space 2 being on ice, talking about Star Wars Outlaws being released later this summer, and of course, our impressions of the Fallout TV show. So we were going to say the Fallout show for the second half of the show, but since we have one of our homies here, Gaming Addict, that actually binge watched the whole freaking thing in one night. I actually got 5 episodes done, but he finished the whole thing and he's not going to be able to stick with us through the whole show. So I'm definitely going to move that up in the priority list so he can give us impressions on that. So we'll basically just talk about the Star Wars stuff on the second half of the show when we move everybody over. And we'll talk about that during this portion while he's here. But with that being said, I do want to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that literally is starting every piece of problem he can on Twitter. Slow Mo Backslap. What's up, bro?
I don't, what's up, and what's up, the addict? I don't know about being this, you're trying to call me like what's that word that
you're
people...
You're the Twitter villain.
Provocateur. Like you kind of acting, you making me seem more infamous than I really am. Like I don't even know what you say that I said last Friday that like set people. I don't even know what that was. Like I just feel like I just tweet my thoughts out, and people take it however they want to take it. Like I tweeted out earlier today, I think that the people, not everyone, clearly, so I'm not generalizing everybody, but there's a segment of people I feel on Twitter that read at a second grade level. And I think that's pretty obvious considering how people will make a statement and they'll be pretty clear in their thoughts. And then people will have a completely separate interpretation of what they said. And I think it makes sense that if you can't read well, then of course you would take that wrong. Either you can't read well or you're intentionally taking people out of context in order to fit a certain narrative, which I don't know which is worse, being illiterate or being lacking of integrity. I don't know, but I would just like people to pretend people have the integrity and they're just illiterate. So, but then people took that tweet and they had all kinds of like interpretations of what I meant. And it's ironic that I said that, and then so many people took it so differently. But and I offered no clarification because I just want people to be confused. But no, it's been a good week. I have been not quite finished with the Fallout TV show. I'm halfway through the last episode. It is really good. It is exactly what I've been saying.
If you're halfway through the last episode, you've seen the whole show. Like besides like that last scene that like gives an example of where they're going with season 2.
With the next season? Okay.
Yeah, you've seen the whole show. Like
Cool. But I mean, I'm enjoying that, and I really like the fact that here we have a TV show that one had an appropriate budget, and when I say appropriate budget, I mean a budget that is, I don't know what you're doing with the screen for, so you might want to not do that. Okay, an appropriate budget that is necessary for the kind of show that it is. And it's not like, say, underfunded where they have the writing team has to write around the fact that they don't have the budget to do what the actual content normally does. So therefore, they're creating scenarios, for example, where Spartans don't have their armor for like 60-75% of the entire season in order to make sure that they stay within budget, that kind of thing, as well as staying close enough to the source material where people who have played all the games, know all the lore, are like, yes, that's it. They nailed it. They nailed the humor. They nailed the themes. They nailed the way these characters are supposed to.
Like
That's what he's doing, but that's okay.
No, I'm just talking about.
yeah,
just
we
like, all
might
right,
as
look,
well. You just talked
You
about
might
it
as
for like
well.
5
He just,
minutes.
yeah, you just might as well dive right into
Fine.
Fallout. But go ahead.
No, look, okay, just real quick. I've been watching that.
It's
I also
too
been
late.
watching.
Just do it.
No,
Just go. It's cool. I want
no,
it. Go.
I am
go.
going to finish. No, I'm going to finish what I was saying. I just hit my mic. You see, y'all made me hit my mic. No,
well, good thing you got noise
Monarch.
cancellation on because I ain't even hear it. That's so good.
Monarch is awesome. By the way, Anna Swawe, whatever her name is, absolutely great actress. She's also in Shogun, which is also amazing. Shogun is like a feudal Japan version of Game of Thrones. It's awesome. Watch those two shows. As far as gaming goes, I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty, and I've been playing, surprisingly enough, I've now replaying for the 5th time Fire Emblem Three Houses, because I don't know, it's like the best game of that kind of genre, and I just can't. I haven't had anything else that has come out that has been worthy to make me want to play it instead of that. So that's what I've been doing for the most part. Now
Okay.
I guess we can jump into.
Yeah. Because Addict, go ahead. Well, first of all, that was Gaming Addict, the awesome man from the Iron Lords, 1/4 of the homies and stuff, and really happy to have you here. Logic will be here at some point.
I think I'm the most consistent Lord to come on the show. You know,
you are. I think.
Yes, you are.
I think there's only been 2 Lords that haven't been on here. You know, one I can understand because he's forever working, and the other one, I don't think we just never asked King, so I think that's the biggest
King
problem.
would come on if you asked him.
Yeah, we just never asked King. We got to get King on here. I just keep thinking.
Yeah, we gotta get
that.
King on. King and Solve are the only ones that haven't been on. I think.
I think feel like King is always busy, but then again, I always see him on other people's podcasts.
Got no issues. King go on people's podcasts to inflate their sub count. So
Come on down. So, Addict, what's going on?
And by the way, I saw he had a health concern. Shout out to King, and I hope his recovery.
He's doing good though. He's doing good. I don't want people thinking he's on like a death's door.
Yeah, I was a little shocked. I was just like, I just saw like
hours ago.
Good. Because I saw the video of him in the hospital gown, like the little the little suction things you see on this. I was like, what just happened?
What happened to you, man? Did the flood get you?
Yeah, it's good to know it wasn't like something that was life threatening, but he is doing good. That's great to hear. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so Gaming Addict, also welcome to the show. Really appreciate you being here. What you been up to over the course of, the last 5 days, since 90% of the people in this chat probably, graced their experience over there on the Iron Lords with you. So what you been up to?
Are you talking about my haters?
Oh, well, listen.
I'm joking. Look, there's definitely some of the IOP community that wants my head on a stick right now, but for the most part they're being civil about it, as civil as you could be about wanting someone's head on a stick.
Well, I get it. So
they don't like my Hellblade should have a performance mode thoughts. They hate that shit.
I mean, anybody that is against a game should having something like a performance mode should kick rocks anyway. But we're gonna try to keep this positive at least as positive as we can keep it. So Slow-Mo, you already started this off. Let's talk about Fallout. Let's talk about how a real TV show is actually created. Let's talk about this, sir.
I think I found the tweet you were talking about.
Oh, you already know, don't you? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that tweet soon as we done with it.
Good.
We gonna talk
Good.
about that.
Let's talk. Let's
you
talk
was
about
looking
that
at your
tweet.
tweets and was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" Oh, I see.
Because I got a lot to say about that subject. But no, we're gonna get to that later. Let's talk about Fallout. Let's talk about I've said a lot already. I think it's awesome. And again, just a small recap. Budget is exactly what it needs to be for that kind of show. Apparently, from what I saw, they Amazon spent 153 million on the season. I think that's pretty awesome. That's more than Halo. That's more than The Last of Us TV show. And it sticks to the source material well enough that like everyone is overall generally excited. Gamers as well as non-gamers who are watching it really like it. So I think it's a major success. Can't wait for the second season.
Absolutely. What about you, Addy? What your takeaways from 8 episodes of watching this show?
Here's the thing. There's been shows that have did an okay job. I feel like the second best one would probably be either Mario or the Sonic movies.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Because I do feel like Last of Us did an okay job, but there were so many aspects that they changed in the story, like completely getting rid of scenes that had humans getting killed in it. It didn't feel genuine. Like Last of Us, if you didn't know it and you just watch episode here or there, you would know that's a post-apocalypse game TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, maybe after episode 5, it's just like, where's the danger? Like you just didn't see them being attacked anymore.
It felt like they were literally just doing like a road trip across the country and sleeping out in fields.
Yeah, they can stop looking dangerous. And I think with an audience, you have to always let them know what the danger is, and always let them know that anything can happen at any moment. That kind of deal. And it's just after a certain point, it just fell off completely. And I think somewhere in between the when they were escaping, I forgot the city, but the part that in the game where there's a sniper, I can't remember what town that was in.
I actually like that part of the show because that felt like genuine to a point.
Yeah,
but just little things like I felt like they got some of the aspects of the game right, but they didn't get the world vibes right. They didn't get the realism vibes. Like I feel like in scenarios that they're supposed to be heavy body counts, they ended up either taking those scenes out of the TV show in general or replace them with zombies. So it's not humans dying. But in Fallout, they ain't care about none of that. Blood's up there. They show nudity. And I'm sure Slow-Mo, there's a part in the show where there's full-blown multiple nudity going on. And
I was just like, whoa.
She was like, oh, she said, we're doing this. Yes, let's go.
I'm glad. I was like, I'm glad my kids ain't around to see this because there was no time to pause and be like, hey. Nope, it just started. Stuff just started coming off.
There, I thought Homegirl was about to do it too. Like for a second,
man,
it was pretty crazy.
So
this show's super bloody.
And maybe you guys can comment on this too. This felt like this could have easily been a Fallout game.
Yeah,
like this story could have been a Fallout game because there was times in the story where I felt like that's where a decision would have been made. Like choose this or that.
Yeah,
there was a lot of
like a Mass Effect kind of game, something to that effect, where you have choices and it's a narrative tree.
I don't want to ruin it, but it's like that one thing Slow-Mo where it's like the fusion core incident, and where they were talking outside, they're like, no, that's not right. Like that is what happens in the video game. Like
it's like, am I going to go back or am I going to be that guy? And be like, here's the Paragon or Renegade options.
It generally felt like the game of Fallout being told on the TV. It's just it's good. And, this is where people miss me with like women and movies and stuff. Like I don't see one person like complaining about her as a character in the show.
Nope.
Like she is literally the main character, and everyone loves her.
Yeah, and she's I think it's Ella Purnell. That's her name. She's awesome in this. She plays the role great. Walter Goggins plays the ghoul, and he's amazing. Here's the thing.
He kind of every time he comes on screen, he steals the show.
He does.
Yeah. And that's how he's always been since the Shield, the Shield back in the day when he was he really got his first big break. But like I think what's really awesome about this show is that like you got 3 separate narratives and 3 separate characters that are being followed. Well. Yes, and they do, and there is no like weakness. There is no like when they switch to a different focus on a different character of that 3. You're like.
See, but I don't want to
see this. Like there is none of that. What I like
about their 3 narratives that Halo didn't do the greatest is that all 3 of the narratives in Fallout are intertwining multiple times in the story, and it makes sense. It doesn't feel forced, and it's like I can see how this scenario happened. Like,
yeah. Unlike in Halo, where like universally everyone hates that character, Maquis. Everyone hates her,
and still no one knows what's going on with her.
Yeah, no one understands why she's alive, and it's just like, what the heck is going on? And it's just, it's just a far higher level of quality. And I was kind of saying to someone earlier today, because I was discussing this, and I said I feel like Microsoft made a mistake going with Paramount for the Halo show. I think
they did.
You know, I think they had way too many.
Shows that maybe Amazon should be taken more, seriously when it comes to their adaptations on video games.
Yeah, I mean, like Amazon has always been big with that stuff. Like as far as budget
I was told they did a good job on the Lord of the Rings TV show.
I'm mixed on it, but I appreciate their efforts in it. And the one thing that you won't see from Amazon is that there was a lack of budget, or this doesn't look good. Right. Okay, wait, Logic's in the lobby. I guess none of us was looking. Hold on, let me get in there.
Yeah.
What's up, Logic? Okay. Amazon always like I remember reading an article years ago when Amazon first started doing content. But with Prime Video, and their first few forays into original content did not do well, and it wasn't for the usual reasons where a streaming service or whatever like a source doesn't do well in their original content. Theirs was because they were giving the showrunners and producers way too much freedom, and giving them all this money for a budget without actually giving any guidance, which is like the opposite of what you normally get from these like HBO or Netflix or whoever. And it seems like they've kind of caught that balance where they know when to kind of push and say, hey, you're getting a little too artistic with this. You might need to pull this back. But they still are doing the right thing when it comes to making sure that the shows that they are supporting have the budgets that they need, and making sure that they have the resources and getting the right actors to fit those roles. I think they're nailing it with that.
Awesome. Logic, what's up?
Not much, man. How y'all doing?
Not much,
doing good, man. We're talking about the Fallout TV show.
Fallout
have you
TV
seen
show.
it?
No.
Okay, cool. We'll move on from that then. No, no, but listen, amazing show. I have 3 episodes left. I put that tweet out yesterday, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna be here all night. And then as 3:30 in the morning hit, I was like, I have to work. I'm going to bed. But guess what I'm gonna do after the show today? Finish those last 3 episodes. Because the game is freaking, I mean, the game, the movie, the show, whatever. It's all incredible. I was like, me and my wife, and the funny thing is, my wife is a huge Fallout fan, and she was the one that told me about it. I was like, I knew it was coming already. I thought it was April 12th, but then she was like, hey, let's watch Fallout. I was like, doesn't come out for 2 more days. If you have Amazon Prime, It's out today. I was like, oh shoot, pop some popcorn, let's go. Man, watching it's something when you watch, like, I didn't jump into Fallout until Fallout 3, but it was real interesting watching the peaks and valleys of a person that's been committed to Fallout since the beginning, and watching her just see how it all plays out. I was like, oh man, this is I was like, if she's loving this, there's gonna be a lot of people out here, because like Addy said, they were very, very thoughtful. Like, even some stuff that they probably changed along the way or did a little bit different, it wasn't disrespectful to Fallout. It was like what you expected. So we probably have to do a full-blown spoiler cast about this, probably, especially since they dropped all 8 episodes, and everybody will be able to like experience it tomorrow if they don't have Prime. So that's going to be a really interesting thing. So we'll let you guys all know exactly when that's going to pop off. Probably say the end of this month. By that time, we probably will do a spoiler cast, give people a chance to talk about it, because I know there's going to be a lot of correlation between other video game movies and stuff that was done out there, and how this one is being portrayed, and probably what the setup of the next one's going to be when it comes to like season 2. But with that, slow-mo, let's move on to our first main topic. You see it on the screen. Why won't you explain what happened here?
Okay, what happened here was I wanted to know who had played Hellblade 1. And I also asked, because, if you played the game, you should have no problem showing this. Just show your achievements or your trophies, because it came out on PlayStation. Just show, be proud of what you did, what you accomplished. That's all. I'm just, and as the meme there, just saying, I'm just asking, and that's all. Some people got a little upset. How dare you ask me to show proof that I play games? I don't know how. I don't get it. I don't get that kind of reaction. It just seems very sus to me. But I think I was really happy to see so many people that played the game, showed their achievements and trophies, and then gave some thoughts about how they felt about the first game, whether it was all positive, a little mixed, all negative, whatever, and their desire to play Hellblade 2. So, I mean, it was a good day. It's a good day. It's a good tweet, I think.
It was a good tweet. And the one thing I will say that tweet definitely like illuminated for me was the fact that, yes, illuminated. Yes, I use that word. Illuminated. The thing that it did was it showcased the fact that everybody pretty much played the game the same way. It missed the same stone.
Yeah, everywhere. Pretty much. Yeah.
Everybody missed it because everybody was 13 out of 14 achievements. And that's not bad, but that also speaks to the point where a lot of people, the game was so good, but nobody wanted to go through it again. I'm one of the people that like not too many games, especially when this came out. I was deep into Destiny, like real deep into Destiny at that point. Pause. But it was like I actually took time away to play this game because I loved it so much. But every time I look at my achievement list on that game, I'm like 13 out of 14. There is one rune I missed. I know which one it is, I think, but you have to replay the whole game because there's no chapter select.
Now, there were some people that said that has been there in a later update. They put out a way so there's like chapter select now, so you could I guess you could figure out which rune.
Do you have to beat the game again to get chapter select, or do you get chapter select from the beginning?
I don't know. Because after I beat it, I didn't go back. So I don't know how exactly that's implemented. But I like the reason why I don't have the platinum and like Until Dawn is because I would miss a totem or I would miss a clue or whatever. And there is no chapter selecting Until Dawn. I mean, there is in a way, but you have to complete the game in order for it to work, like for it to like fully like take effect. And it's just like, I'm not doing all that. just and I don't even know which one I missed, which is just like once you're dealing with all that, it makes sense that a lot of people just missed that one lore stone in Hellblade 1. And they just like, nah, I'm not going to go play through the whole game again, especially if the vast majority of the people who played it when it was fairly new or fairly new to each platform that it came out on. And therefore they're just, I'm too busy playing other things to go back and play this.
Yeah, definitely. Attic, Hellblade, where's your, it's coming up soon, man. It'll be out less than 30 days, around 30 days. What is your excitement level for the game?
Like a 6, maybe a 5. I just wasn't a big fan of the first one. And like when I say that, people, God forbid, I don't want to play an Xbox game. Like I feel like that's like a sin, like a cardinal sin.
Right.
It's like it's nothing against the franchise, but it's just like the first one didn't capture me. Like I never looked at the first Hellblade and said, "Yo, I got to jump on that." And I tried to play it a little bit, but like the way they do the audio just creeps me out. I think I'm gonna actually go back sometime this month and actually play through the game. Because I am going to give the second one a shot, and I do think I need to play the first one like through its entirety to really give it its go. But it's just like, I will be playing this on PC. I'm not playing this on Xbox.
Any particular reason?
There goes your
it's 30 frames.
There's your Xbox credibility just went out the window.
My Xbox credibility has been gone for a while.
Man,
I need to. Well, my head's spinning right now.
Wait, don't choke. Are you
So wait,
logic can't speak. He's just
because I don't
some water.
Look, I don't track where everybody is and all the YouTube personalities and all that. But I mean, I have counted for 2 years myself as part of this group of people who have been who have cited when I felt Xbox has done something not in their best interests or not, the biggest step forward for the brand. So Attic, are you saying you are now in that group?
What do you mean now in that group? I've been in that group.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just, like I said, I don't know who everyone is around the community.
But
so
if you don't know who everyone is and you don't follow them, how are you counting when people do it?
I'm not. I'm just asking you the question. I thought
I'm just reciting what you said.
My question is I'm just trying to understand where you stand with the brand. I thought that you were happy and pleased with what Xbox was doing based on the podcast that you're on. My question:
what would make you say that though? I'm confused. Because if you don't watch the content, why would you make an assumption like that?
Well, let's pull back. Clearly, all right, Attic is definitely critical of the Xbox decisions lately. Logic wasn't aware of that, so we're all on the same page now, right?
Yep, that's all I want to know.
Good. Cool. We're
Yeah,
good.
it's been ever since he's been called a mustard heart. He's been different. He's been a different person.
No, it's been before that. Remember when I criticized them over Starfield not showing nothing? I got obliterated for that. I criticized them over buying ABK because I said it doesn't really bother me or benefit me. I got criticized for that. Like,
right. Well, and I think that's the biggest misnomer out there when it comes to like Xbox podcasts or just Xbox influencers or people that are assumed to be Xbox influencers because of just either the podcasts that they're on and what people think those podcasts are about. Like, a lot of people like look at IOP as, more of an Xbox podcast than a video game podcast. So I know you guys internally look at it as just a video game podcast with like a kind of a slant towards, Xbox because of just the conversations and some of the personalities on there. But they definitely have very different opinions when you kind of talk to them separately outside of the show because it's kind of dominated. That show's kind of dominated by big personalities and things that are being said inside the community. And That's definitely an understandable thing.
Well,
so I understand where people come from with that.
And that's my point. Perception, image, exposure, right? If the only familiarity you have with the people is in a personal relationship and is just what you're aware of from the marketing that they do around the show, then that's all you know. And like I said, I haven't had the time or the interest or the ability to go and, pull those threads. So I just wanted to kind of understand where everybody was.
No, absolutely.
Why make statements about it? I just don't get that.
Attitude was a question, less so than a statement. The question's been answered, so I think we're good and we can go ahead and proceed forward.
Nice. So what are your thoughts while you're talking about it? What are your thoughts about, Hellblade is the next big game for Xbox coming out. A lot of people have been looking forward to this point where Xbox is going to start releasing their first party games. What do you think of just Hellblade in general? Are you interested? I mean, I heard you say you didn't even play the first one, but is the second one got you interested? Or do you think that this is going to do anything, significant for Xbox when it comes to like moving the needle in a positive direction once this game does release?
Oh, you're talking to me?
No,
you talking to Logic?
The Logic. Sorry, I thought because Logic was the one talking last, so I said since he was still talking. So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Logic.
Sorry. You made a reference to I think what Attic had commented about.
I meant to. I was talking
so I
to you,
apologize.
Logic. No, I apologize because I didn't make it clear.
Yeah, no. I'm very much in the same place as Attic was right. Like Hellblade has just never been like a me kind of game and was never something in my wheelhouse and never something that. I've talked over the last couple of weeks about how, when the Dragon's Dogma 2 stuff was spooling around, that in my mind, the way I perceive things as a gamer is that, the job of the developer and the publisher is to spark and generate enough interest in me to make me willing to get down out of my seat and go play their game. Like that's not my job. That's their job. Hellblade and Hellblade 2 has just never entered that interest area for me. So I was, I didn't play the first one. I'm not going to play the second one. I think I talked about on BRAP on Wednesday, so A, that's where I am. B, how do I think it's going to impact the market? I mean, where Xbox is right now, the people who are on Xbox are people who are, pretty dedicated and faithful, people who are in the subscription service. Nobody was going to join the subscription service for Hellblade 2. In my mind, it wasn't ever that kind of needle mover. And so the people who wanted to consume Hellblade 2 via the subscription service are already in the subscription service, so it's neither a plus or a minus. As far as how it impacts the business, I don't think it necessarily does anything major from that perspective. I will say this whole topic of 4K 30 and the thing that I've pointed out in particular with Hellblade, it's not 4K 30, right? It's 4K 30 with dynamic resolution, which means it's not always 4K. So it's dipping resolution so that it can maintain 30 frames per second. The thing that I think is kind of the view of dominoes, I guess I'll call them, is I'm curious to see how Indiana Jones is going to come in. I mean, these choices and selections are being made as design choices in order to manage scope and manage performance, and based on the development team, whether or not they decide to accentuate visuals versus performance, and some of them are making trade-offs, and some of them are going for a lower frame rate, right, in order to pump up the visuals, and that's okay. But as I was talking to somebody else before, I mean, my feeling is everybody should feel free to feel however they want to feel about that decision. People who are fine with it should say that they're fine with it, but they also shouldn't necessarily try and legislate that other people who aren't fine with it are somehow like wrong or incorrect or improper about their observation of games. I mean, each of us has different system requirements. Each of us approaches games, in particular games that are genre oriented around performance versus visuals. And everybody's going to have a different feeling about that. And everybody should just let everybody feel the way that they feel about it and move on. The question I have as far as like the Xbox first party studios making those design choices, like I said, my big question is how is Indiana Jones going to come in? In my mind, Indiana Jones should not come in at 4K 30 because you're in first person view. You don't have the performance impact that you would normally have from a third person view, right, with the camera that can rotate 360 degrees. You don't have as wide a field of vision and as much in scene on screen at any one time. But it's also not a shooter, right? So it should be some things where, you know, there's a lot of Indiana Jones doing a lot of puzzle solving, you know, a lot of melee. You do have those instances where it swings from camera, it cuts to third, you know, where he swings and it cuts to third person view. So I'm just curious to kind of see how that's going to go and how that team is going to manage it.
Yeah, I agree. And
about Indiana Jones, since Machine Games is developing that, I looked at I just real quick looked at their last, because I think they're outside of Wolfenstein Youngblood, which I mean is, I guess like I could check that one too, but Wolfenstein: The New Colossus was their last, I guess, acceptable outing, and that one was at 60 frames per second when it launched. So I'm hoping that is the same. That will be the same, because they're using probably the same game engine. I think they're using that modified id Tech engine that they use. So
right.
If all that is the same, I think it will probably likely be 60 frames per second. But you can't. I mean, when your last 3 out of your last 4 major releases on Xbox in the past 2 years have been launching at 30 frames per second, you can't just say it's a guarantee that something will have 60. We don't know, but I would assume that more than likely it's going to be 60 frames per second.
Yeah, definitely. I know Adam's got to get ready to get up out of here because he has some video making he needs to do that he let me know about earlier. So I appreciate him sticking around as long as he did. But I just wanted to get his thoughts on this next thing around the Xbox hardware before we let him get up out of here. Talking about, we just talked about Hellblade, performance and everything. And a lot of conversation around new hardware, being released very soon. You got Sarah Bond out there talking about that. We got game preservation on the table. We got conversations about technological leaps when it comes to new hardware that's going to be released, and we don't know exactly in what scope that's going to be, either from a performance mode or is it just going to be a different type of way of playing games. What do you think about just all of the hardware talk that's coming out of just Xbox in general over the course of the last 3 to 6 months, Attic?
I gotta when it comes to the hardware, if they come out in 2026 and they're able to have the market to themselves for a year or two, I could see it working out for them. And if the handheld version does what is claimed, even if it's more money, I could see that working out for them. But it's just like at this point, I'm skeptical if that would. Right now, the Series X is not selling the greatest, and I'm concerned with taking exclusivity or the perception of exclusivity away from the Xbox brand. Is that going to lead to next gen selling better? And I'm skeptical. So it's like, I think right now I'm not worried about hardware that might not get supported through the whole generation. So I don't know. Right now I got to see what Hellblade, Avowed, Indiana Jones. I got to see what these games do and if they move the needle in any way, shape, or form, or if they all together collaborate move a needle before I start anticipating a next gen hardware.
Exactly. Slow-mo, what's your thoughts?
About hardware for next gen?
Well, just the conversation with Xbox, they've been talking about games all the way up to the beginning of this generation. And then the conversation, has kind of just been pretty much about hardware, things that they're doing when it comes to either their refresh with either a handheld or the conversation around their new system. The rebranding of the system is coming out either this year or next year when it comes to a digital only SKU, or what they're going to be doing in 2027, 2028 when it comes to their brand new hardware. That's kind of been dominated with the conversation. Xbox, are you still inside of the hardware business? I know you have very, very strong takes on Microsoft going the publisher route by taking their games off of their platform. Well, not off their platform, but basically sharing their games with other people and not keeping that ecosystem to themselves. So what do you think, with all that being said, what do you think of their strategy, supposed strategy of still wanting to release hardware and talk about hardware as much as they have over the course of the last couple of months?
I think that in light of them putting their games on the Nintendo platform and PlayStation, that those things are going to really hinder whatever they're doing with this new hardware. Now, I mean, I've heard everything from all they're going to have is like a handheld that is a powerful handheld, but then when you dock it, it has an eGPU that can then scale games up to potentially competing against other, like something a PlayStation would do as far as level of performance and visuals. To they have a handheld that will still be dockable, but when it's docked, it's not doing anything like amazingly different than the handheld and a traditional console. I've heard there are, Xbox. I've heard things about what Sarah Bond was talking about the next big, like I guess she said the biggest technological leap. And yeah, and I've heard some things behind the scenes about. I've heard and seen some things about behind the scenes about what that means. I don't think any of it matters when this is about games. And about when it comes to games, it's about content. And you got to have compelling content. And if you don't have compelling content, even if the content is getting really good reviews in Metacritic, but if it doesn't move the needle as far as getting people into your ecosystem, then it's not doing what you need it to do. And so I think what Addict talked about is really kind of the key point here. What's Hellblade going to do? What's Indiana Jones going to do? Avowed, Fable, South of Midnight, Clockwork Revolution. All of these games likely will be coming out before this next handheld or whatever it is, right? All those games going to move the needle. And yeah, I said Fable. I think Fable will be out next year. But like all these things are supposed to be coming out within the next 2 years. Are people going to be looking at the Xbox brand as they do right now in 2024 the same way that they do in 2026 when your handheld launches? Because that's what's really going to be important. Do people feel like I'm going to buy this handheld because I can play X game while on the move, and I'm looking forward to Gear 6, and the content is why it delivers. Like the Nintendo Switch wouldn't be the Nintendo Switch if it didn't launch with Breath of the Wild. Like it launched with a game that everybody wanted to play. If it was just a portable Nintendo that had no content that people wanted, it wouldn't have taken off the way it did. The content is what makes this stuff important. So
yeah,
they gotta deliver on that part.
Absolutely. Shout out to Mash with the Gunslinger membership. Really appreciate it, bro. And since you didn't leave a message with that membership, I'll read the messages you put underneath it. He says, I'm not happy with Xbox because they didn't deliver the 60 FPS 4K promise. Last 3 years, the value of the console seems to be deteriorating with the lack of exclusives. Better hardware is great, but what's the point of a faster car if you got no gas to put in it? I mean, that's the thing that, listen, and that goes back to that, conversation that we had on Lucas' channel the other week, where, I talked about buying something, and there's disagreements around it, but, buying stuff when they actually give you a reason to buy it. Now some people are just going to go, and I understand there's people out there just buy things because they can afford it and they like it, but they also like the overall messaging that the company had around that said thing. And even when I go back and a viewer actually pointed this out to me, and shout out to him. And I said I would bring this up on the show because I was absolutely wrong. I remember it now. He brought up, he said, yeah, but Forte, you actually, I remember you telling people on the podcast when they announced the Xbox Series X and it was coming, that I'm so happy for people to finally get a chance to play at something better than 60 frames per second. And I remember saying that, because I remember saying that there is no reason that the Xbox, people that own an Xbox Series X should play at less than 60 frames per second. That console is more than capable of doing it. It comes down to optimization, the developer want to, and just game design in general. If you are going out of your way to basically say you want the prettiest looking game with all of the stuff on the screen that you could possibly put there, and not willing to sacrifice some of that to give people the ability to have a better experience when it comes to like the overall flow of the game and fluidity and gameplay, then that's a problem, especially when you're not giving people the option to be able to switch out in performance modes and stuff. So shout out to that person for bringing that up, because that was something that I do remember saying, because I do feel like Xbox did put a really big big anchor in the ground where they did talk about 60 frames per second being the norm, and that has been nothing but not the norm for this whole entire generation, especially when it comes from first party in general. Logic, I want to end it out on you. In general, you heard what these two other gentlemen had to say about it, and just talking about the hardware in general. You talked about some of it when you talked about the games that you need to see in the future and how they do. But what are your thoughts on just hardware, the direction that Xbox is going with hardware, or potentially going with hardware over the course of the next 2 to 3 years?
I mean, I've written extensively about it. I'm a hardware nerd. And so the unfortunate reality is that if they jazz me up about hardware, I'm probably still going to buy it, regardless of the games that are present there. From a technology perspective, a lot of the things that they're talking about are interesting. I think, as I've said, is the case with a lot of what they talk about. I don't often have a lot of questions about their strategy. It's about their execution. And when I've heard some of the theories and or maybe some of its insider information about, things that they're talking about implementing to execute on that strategy, I've called a lot of those into question. A dual booting device is not a good consumer experience. Yeah, that's true. Because inevitably one of those tends to work pretty good and the other one tends to be bad. And in particular, when you're talking about the convergence here that we're talking about between PC and Xbox, I'm like, from an Xbox first party perspective, those exact same games are on PC. So why would I have a box that runs half of a box that runs Windows and can launch Steam? Why would I be bothered having the Xbox side of that? I would just play those Xbox games on the PC side. The other thing is, today those file systems are not exactly the same. Whatever the file system is on the SSD on the Xbox Series X, it is not the same straight stick NTFS that Windows PC uses. So right now, today, unless they're making changes, you're talking about being delivered a box that's 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes, and that having to be partitioned into 2 halves, which you can't access when you're booted onto the other side. So a lot of this to me doesn't make sense and brings up some inefficiencies and raises cost. And what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to get the cost down, which has always been the Microsoft problem with hardware. So my personal feeling is they should just make it a mini ITX PC. They should get AMD to give them the best APU they can put in the box. Given that AMD has talked about that they're not, once again, they say this every 5 years or so, that they're not going toe to toe with NVIDIA on the high end. They have options for GPU vendors, I think. They can, if Intel keeps working on Arc, they could go with Intel. NVIDIA needs to get part of the Microsoft business back because Microsoft is making their own bespoke AI chip. And so that's going to eat into the segment of that they give to NVIDIA. Satya wants to keep his alliance with NVIDIA tight, though. And so I have, a partial submission that there may be some talk of going with NVIDIA the next time around. But either way, the point being is you can force those 3 vendors to negotiate and go cutthroat on prices to get the price of the thing down. You just have Windows as the operating system, have it boot into a equivalent of Steam's big picture mode, but Xbox, right? And then you lock it down with UAC so that that is the only thing that consumers can access. And if people want to get into the Windows side of it, then you do something extra, like make them buy a YubiKey or something like that, or register with a special account to get into the admin side, and let them know that if they go in that side and they dork with stuff, then it's on them if the box doesn't work. But I think that's just where they kind of like we talked about on the show, like last month, right? They should just go full on PC. That's going to raise the price. But my thing is, you've only sold 27 million consoles now this generation anyway. How much more are you really going to lose out? I do think they should also make a lower end SKU, and this will be the interesting thing to see if they have solved kind of the Xbox USB stick problem. But I think that they should just go with a lower end SKU next time around and make it even lower end than the S and just make it a completely entirely cloud device.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, cool. Before we move over to the next topic, talk about Dead Space, I want to give Addict the opportunity to, Addict, I appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you coming through. If you wanted to check out, you can do that if you want to now. But if you are, please let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on, and why they can stop hating on you so much.
They can continue hating. I don't give a shit. You can find me on YouTube at Gaming Addict. I have a streaming platform, Addict Arena. Right now, what I'm getting off here to do is an NDA game. Sometime this month, I'll have a whole playthrough going up on it. Appreciate for coming through. Definitely hit that sub button, man. Sub to these people. They. When are you gonna start exclusively streaming on the DPS channel?
Very soon.
Yeah, because I'm glad that you took my advice to cut the
Trust me, you were the only person that kept telling us to do that, so that's why it's happening.
But I appreciate you guys, and when it comes to like Dead Space, I want to say something real quick on the Dead Space thing.
No, yeah, go ahead, definitely go ahead. Put your taste in there.
EA should be ashamed of themselves.
I agree.
It's like, look, like I think we got this bad concept that like everything's got to make a game as a service type of model. Like, and I get it. Like corporate, they want to make more money and more money and more money. But I do think the pandemic rapidly excelled on how much money they expect to make from us. Mm-hmm. And now games like Dead Space have no financial goals that can possibly be met because they got to make this unrealistic amount of money this quarter. Like, so it is what it is on that point. Here's the thing. Look, is something like a Dead Space going to make like a crap ton of money? Probably not. But it's just like, I do feel like we're getting to the point where these companies feel like everything's got to make that type of a games as a service model because they can continuously drain us with it. And I think companies are stepping away from single player games, and PlayStation and like Ubisoft to a degree seems like the only people that try it. And it's just like, to me, how long is that going to last? Like the Helldivers was mad successful, so it's just like, when you start seeing this type of money, how long is it before you start putting more and more resources into this stuff? PlayStation, I think they'll do it longer than anyone because that's one of their bread and butter. But it is disappointing that they made Dead Space, which is a good game, but they won't remake probably the best game in the franchise.
I know.
So to me, Dead Space 2, on the same quality as the first remake, will sell the first one too. And I saw somewhere they thought that they were going to make 5, that they were going to sell 5 million Dead Space remakes. Like, what? Like did you guys how is it that us on a podcast?
That sounds like some Square Enix kind of logic. Man.
How is it that us in a podcast look at a number like that, but like, you ain't hitting that? But somehow corporate, like, yeah, we hitting that. What? Who told you that? Like, who is doing your numbers? Because you need to find another person. Like, it's like, what is the point in making the game if you're going to have unrealistic expectations to hit? It's like at this point, 5 million, you might as well said 20 million. You ain't hating that shit. And it's still sold like over 2 million copies that I read, but it's just like, it's disappointing, man. It's disappointing because I really thought that like Dead Space, I saw so many people talking about it. To me, that game was a success, and I get it. Maybe it wasn't a success on, the scale they wanted to be, but it's just like, it's Dead Space. What did you think it was gonna sell? Like, I don't think maybe the first Dead Space sold that much. Has any Dead Space sold over 5 million?
No, the first Dead Space only sold close to 2.
I don't think the sales of Dead Space was the reason why they made this decision. I think it has more to do with maybe not surprisingly enough, but like Xbox and ABK. Because I remember EA CEO Andrew Wilson made a comment. He was interviewed while the ABK stuff was still going on, and the interviewer asked his thoughts on Xbox or Microsoft acquiring ABK and what was he for or against it. And he said that he was for it because, and it kind of made sense the way he said it. He was like, we see this as an opportunity for us because Call of Duty is their competition with Battlefield. And previously, like PlayStation since 2015 have been basically giving ABK a ton of money to do marketing for Call of Duty on their platform. Now that Xbox has it, PlayStation is no longer marketing that game. Now that's a massive opportunity for Battlefield to step up and to kind of step into a void that's been left. One, with Sony's money, because now Sony has had money allocated for a specific thing. They can say, hey, look, we're going to start making more Battlefield games, start dropping Battlefield content more consistently. And now you can give us those marketing dollars and we can, the people on your platform who you don't want to buy Call of Duty no more, because buying more Call of Duty games is just putting more money in your competition's pocket. You can market our game to those people and also trying to deliver at the same time. So we know what Call of Duty, so it's like 9 studios total that do all that content for Call of Duty. EA does not have that many studios working on Battlefield, and they cannot keep up with the same level of cadence, which we already seen, and they tried, but they couldn't. I think that's why they told EA Motive, hey, look, great job with Dead Space remake. It actually exceeded our expectations. That's it. Not as important for us right now. We need that year-over-year growth. We're not getting that year-over-year growth with you doing a Dead Space 2 remake. We're going to get that growth coming from you making a Battlefield game. And so that's where I see them. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think that's the rationale that they have, because these shareholders care about year-over-year growth. EA gets billions upon billions of dollars coming from Ultimate Team microtransactions with Madden and FIFA, and that funds the vast majority of everything they do on an annual basis. That said, the growth on that is not big. It's not massive. And so you need something else to kind of generate more income to get shareholders excited, to keep them invested, or to get more shareholders to invest. You're not doing that with a Dead Space Remake 2. Even though us gamers want that and don't want some story-driven generic Battlefield game. But that's how these decisions get made. At least that's how I view it. I could be wrong.
So, latest numbers on the original Dead Space from 2008. At the end what was it? As of November of 2009, I should say, a year after it came out, Dead Space was recorded at 1.4 million units. So part 2 sold more. Well, not part 2. The remake sold more.
Right. But it's not going to sell Battlefield numbers. At least they don't think it will. So there you have it. I mean, it's the same thing we saw with ABK when they took Toys for Bob off of making kind of games they like to make, and they were generally successful, and people thought they were the games they made were quality, and then put them as a support studio for Call of Duty. Why? Because we need someone else to help make sure these games release on time on an annual basis. And sorry, you making the Crash game just ain't that important. This is the mindset that they have, whether we as gamers agree with it or not.
Yeah. So the last number that EA gave out on Battlefield 2042 was 4.68 million copies sold, which was in. That was in.
Now they don't really care about that. For the most part,
well, I know
what they care about is people buying the battle passes,
stuff inside the game. Yeah,
exactly.
But they also didn't even have all that stuff when it first launched either. When Battlefield 2042 came out, they didn't have all that in there either.
Which is also why they want EA Motive to be working on Battlefield, because it could be I don't know for certain, it could be a segment of them that are working on the actual game or content, and then there's another segment that's making sure that like the next Battlefield that comes out isn't launching a game where you can't even see the scoreboard. The game was an incomplete game at launch.
I actually take that back.
At least make it a complete game.
I actually take that back. Battlefield 2042 reportedly sold 4.23 million sales at launch on launch week. So almost just over 4 during the first week of the launch. Logic, you're the first person shooters. Tell me what are your thoughts on just how single player games, just the rise in cost of, video games and the direction like games like Dead Space could be literally disappearing forever. Like Attic said, the Dead Space 2 was one of my favorite games of all time, and it looks like we're never going to, as of right now, never going to get that. There's probably a good chance we won't. What do you think of just rising costs and the direction that a lot of these publishers are going when it comes to some of their celebrated games for the past and just consistently putting them back in the vote for other games that they feel like they can make more money off of?
Forte. You just asked me like 10 different questions across 9 different topics.
I did. But guess what? I'm rolling right now.
Let me start a little bit.
You know what? Here's a checklist.
Answer these 10 questions in alphabetical order. The first letter that I say in each question. You don't have the time to write it down. Go.
This is a quiz. You are being quizzed.
let me start with a little talking about EA Motive. So there's a part of me that's a little sympathetic, but there's a part of me that also kind of gets it or maybe hopes that this will help them find some stability. EA Motive is such a garage chop shop of projects, right? Jade Raymond was the founder of the studio. They have had projects canceled and then moved teams around and then had like friction between the teams, and then when projects were canceled and teams were combined, then like there weren't enough lead positions, so then people got bent out of shape about and so some of them left the studio. Then Jade left. So I mean, part of the problem with that studio is they're often working on so many different kind of hodgepodge products, and they aren't. My read on it is they just aren't a really harmonious unit, and so. I mean, I'm not super happy, and at least part of me isn't super happy about them all being moved to Battlefield. Well, not all, because I guess they still have the same problem where some of them are working on Iron Man. I'm just hoping that eventually that a lot of this stuff gets sorted out, because I feel like the sense I get off of them is where they're like two halves of a studio. And with them flip-flopping projects, they just periodically get into these blocks of time where people are put together who don't get along. So at least I hope that they get a shtick. I have my problems with Criterion, but at least they seem to somewhat relatively keep that team unified and all working on the same thing. I agree with a lot of what Slow-Mo said. I think strategically the point for EA is they're mounting up, right, to go after Call of Duty, particularly in a space now where COD has the financial backing of a multi-trillion-dollar company. They're also going to, what I've been saying since this whole talk of the acquisition started, they're also going to be peanut buttering that content around, with all the 10-year deals that they made, putting it on additional platforms, putting it on cloud platforms. I mean, Call of Duty's everywhere. And like I said, in a market where that one IP already sucks all the air out of the room, now it's going to get worse. We had a data point that came out, I think last week, that said, Call of Duty Vanguard sold 30 million copies. And I'm like, literally the worst version of Call of Duty in the last 14 years in a bad year, right? Sells more than, like, it's ridiculous.
Sells more than 99% of the games that come out on the market.
Exactly.
It just shows it's a machine that just can't be stopped. Even when they screw up royally, as long as they got the game
out the door,
success. Just by making sure that it launches is a success for them, because they know their community. They're going to buy the game. What are you going to play? X Defiant?
Right.
Which
it can't get out the door.
It can't get out the door because every time Call of Duty does something different, they go, let's add that too, according to Insider Gaming.
and part of that is that they just have and I've talked about this so many times before, they just have so much legacy content. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, hats off to Slow-Mo for turning me onto that game and keeping me from keeping away from it. Best map rotation, in my opinion, ever here with Season 3. And part of the reason is because they have a footlocker full of flipping maps. And at any moment in time, right, you walk down to a Call of Duty dev and say, hey, yo, that map that was on the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare, go ahead and break that thing out, clean it up. We want it in next season. Right? And they could just keep doing that. They have models. I mean, when I was listening to one of the stories from one of the devs when they were on an episode of Broken Silicon, and the guy was saying, one of the Call of Duty teams was working on something and they didn't have a Jeep model. So they literally just picked up the phone and called Infinity Ward and was like, hey, do you guys have a Jeep model? And Infinity Ward was like, yeah, we have one. We never put it like in this version of the game or whatever. Here, you can have it. And that's that efficiency in that massive of a production pipeline. That's a team of like 1,200 devs. It is literally the largest in the gaming industry. And they've got it working like a machine, and it cranks stuff out every year. And I definitely think, that is part of what EA's thinking is let's put together the same kind of thing. I asked B Money, last night, he felt, DICE was going to stay in the driver's seat. I was asking, well, are they gearing up to have, do like a Call of Duty where like Criterion runs it 1 year and then EA Motive runs it another year and then DICE runs it the third year, and they go in that rotation, and he feels like, DICE is going to keep their hands on the reins. But they're definitely doing some things where, they were looking at putting Ridgeline in charge. Ridgeline was in charge of at least the campaign for the next one, and now that's Criterion, and EA Motive is gonna help them out. So they're definitely looking at rigging a larger production pipeline at some type of scale, however they manage it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if EA acquires like a smaller developer to be support for this as well, because that's just, I mean, if you're gonna go in this direction, you might as well go all in. You can't half step it. You can't be lukewarm. You need to just jump in all in, feet first and all that, and actually support it. This is something that I would say that, like, I remember at the beginning of last generation, I would hear talk that like, well, Xbox wants Halo to compete with Call of Duty, and I'm just like, how? You have one developer that's making Halo, and you wanted to compete against, even they didn't have 9 devs on Call of Duty back then, but they had 3 with support studios, and it's just like, you don't have the development like pipeline to make that work, and clearly they couldn't, and they couldn't even get the Master Chief Collection out the door without it being a broken mess. And it's just, no one else can do this, as we saw multiple executives say during the APK, hearings and everything. No one else can do what they're doing at this time, but it's not impossible to get it done. You just have to dedicate the resources to it, and dedicating the resources to it means giving up some things.
What do you mean? I mean, Phil Spencer said PlayStation could just make their own Call of Duty. Like they've got enough time.
Phil was definitely wilding on that comment. Now that it's all said and done, and more than likely there's no reversing what's happened. If you ask Phil that same question, he's not going to give you the same answer. He's like, yeah, I would love to see them try. Would probably be the best he would say. I would love to see them try to do the same thing. Yeah, that'd be great. Well, just real quick, then I'll let you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What I think Sony is doing is Sony is trying to find something that will replace Call of Duty as far as its impact on their platform. They want to kind of create the seed, have the seed of one of these 12 live. It's not 12 anymore because they've canceled some, but some of these live service games to actually hit in a way that can allow them to build up to the kind of machine that Call of Duty is. That's not going to happen overnight. Like, you can't pull a DCEU and think you're going to make the Avengers in one movie. The Avengers was made.
Don't tell Warner Brothers that.
Yeah, someone needs to tell them that, because they need to stop. Like, the Avengers was the Incredible Hulk, then Iron Man 2, and Captain America. There were multiple movies that built up to that, right? So, like, and I know that's a different format, but I think it holds true that you can't just build a monster off of one like successful hit or one move. You can't do it like that. It's not going to work that way. You can't just drop a game and it's already doing the kind of numbers that Call of Duty is doing. You need to build your way up to that, and maybe that will come in like a sequel. But you have to start somewhere, and that's what Sony's doing.
Well, and the other thing is, it often gets skated by that, like, and I think because we have so many youngins in the conversation, people forget that. People forget that Call of Duty was a thing for a decade before they hit that cadence. They didn't really hit the point where they hit the launch pad and platformed off of that right into the stratosphere until they hit Modern Warfare, and really it was even Modern Warfare 2. And Call of Duty had been doing that for a decade before they got to that point. So I mean, it's impressive, but I mean, like you said, it takes a long time. Part of what Forte was asked me about too kind of treads on a lot of different topics that have swirled around this week, from the Saber Interactive CEO talking about he feels $70 games are going to go away, to even comments that were made previous to that, like by Strauss Zelnick and Capcom CEO and others who say either that, $70 is a very fair price. It's really a price that's too low, to just saying, they need to be charging more for games. It also talks a little bit about single player games, and where they think they need to go. I think part of what EA was doing was, I think they weren't chasing Dead Space money. They were chasing Resident Evil remake money.
Yep.
I think they saw an opportunity in the market where people were big on survival horror, where Capcom was turning, large numbers of sales with those remakes, and I think they thought they had seen, Callisto Protocol, and I think they thought they were going to capitalize on that. It's a very interesting part of the industry, and Brap, who I guess just got off Crossfire, was saying, Grubb and others were citing the Matt Piscatella thing about the market peaking in 2008. Or the hardware console sales peaking in 2008. And I'm like, I get that. And I have the fullest, greatest respect for Matt Piscatella. He definitely knows more than I do. I think he and I each have a perspective. And maybe mine isn't guided so much by other dynamics that his is. My thing is, if people looked at the 50-year history of the gaming industry and all of that data, what they would see that the gaming industry has peaked a number of times and has cratered a number of times and has come back to growth. So I I'm just not standing on the square right now that, the high on the hog days of 2008 are over and now everything's got to be different. I think as I've grown up in the tech industry, what I've come to believe is that the tech industry is always cyclical, and that there are points where you get things like you get the .com bubble. You get those in all kinds of industries. You get the mortgage bubble that was created, right? And then it burst, and then industries recover. So a lot of that's being intermixed with like generationality and people only wanting to play social games and blah, blah, blah. And I've talked on other podcasts how part of the problem, and Attic said it too before he left, right? Part of the problem is that you're going to say you're not going to do a single player game and you're going to go after game as a service. But the problem is that when you say you're going to do that, every room you walk into has an 800-pound gorilla ready to eat your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Fortnite, you've got Call of Duty, you've got Call of Duty, you've got Warzone, right? And you've got Apex Legends. Those games in Warzone, when you talk about Warzone, Apex Legends, and Fortnite, those games are all free to play. So, I mean, what is your competitive stance? And granted, that landscape is probably equally competitive when you look at first player games. But my whole point, and this is my problem with the way some of the people are extrapolating some of these data points, is what we always say in software engineering and software development is there is no silver bullet. There is no binary. You're not gonna pick one thing that's gonna solve all of the problems. You have to have, and this is what gaming companies do, you have to have a mixed portfolio. And you can choose to prioritize and decide what's your strategy. But the answer is not to just do all one thing, right? Because number one, the 3 billion gamers or so that are on the market don't all play the same stuff. So you've got to shoot your shot and go after different stuff. A lot of that again is cyclical. Gamers think that a thing is hot. Slow-mo thinks that extraction shooters are going to blow up, and I think extraction shooters.
No. Extraction shooters are look. They are where they are at, which is on PC, and they do great over there. I think it is dead. I don't see it working on consoles. I actually kind of feel like. I think we talked about this before, but I feel like there's going to be a unknown new kind of genre coming, the way Battle Royale kind of became a thing. It was once a mode and then became a genre. I feel like that's going to be the next live service thing to take off, because I just can't see. I don't see console gamers really jiving with, hey, go into this area with all your loot. And if you die,
risk everything.
They take it, and you come back butt naked with nothing. Nah, I don't see. I think that's a very acquired taste. Like the Dark Zone in The Division was a very acquired taste. Not everyone appreciated. Hey, I just found a legendary weapon. Let me go extract this. And then you about 10 seconds away from extracting, and then some dude comes by. Hey, run your pockets, homie. I'm taking all your stuff.
shake you out your pockets.
Right. Like, I love that. Apparently, most people did not. But that's the way things ended. But then it evolves into its own kind of thing. I think because of that is the reason why we see extraction shooters are the way they are now. But like, not everybody gravitated towards that. A lot of people was very upset that, like, hey, that legendary SMG they've been looking for grinding for months finally dropped for them, and then some dude with a completely min-max build deleted them in 2 seconds. Took it from them, and these are the kind of things that when it comes to an extraction shooter, you need to accept that's going to be the reality until you are the guy that's going around taking other people's stuff and running their pockets. And that's not everybody. People really like they like being able to make progress without having any kind of reductions or any drawbacks. So yeah, it's got to be something else that comes out that's going to really blow up, I think.
Yeah, you can't SBMM an extraction shooter. I think that is going to hit people with a lot of system shock when those games show up. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this: what do you think about the possibility that it's not going to be a new thing? What do you think about the possibility that the slumbering giant is just doing that, is just sleeping, and when Destiny 2 gets wrapped, and Bungie has Marathon off proceeding at pace and they don't need to worry about it anymore. And they start getting their heads wrapped around Destiny 3 and start ramping back up and take the same formula that had the industry in a chokehold for a very long time.
Man,
what do you think about them in Destiny 3? Because this classless class that's coming out.
Did you see that trailer? Oh my god!
I didn't watch the trailer because y'all know how I feel about trailers.
Oh my god!
But the person who leaked that was also a person.
What trailer?
The final shape.
The final shape trailer that just announced.
Yeah, I'm not looking at.
Oh my god, bro! Oh my god!
No. Look. How many times do we have to talk about?
It was gameplay. It was actual slow mo. This was actual showing the HUD with you playing as the character. This was not their normal system.
No cuts.
It was not their cuts. No, this was literally slow mo. The beginning.
So it was straight gameplay. This is a trailer that just straight gameplay with no cuts.
Slow mo. No, it was their Vidoc for the final shape. Literally, the very first thing that pops up is you going into the pyramid. You're in the pyramid, and they show a new boss, and he's fighting the boss by himself with a hunter, and they literally are showcasing the fact that you can merge all three of your subclasses together to make this crazy thing, bro. It was incredible. I was like, yo.
And Bungie will still have their board dissolved when this does not meet revenue expectations.
I don't know, man. It is number 2 in Steam sales right now if you go look at Steam.
So what? I mean, like, how many games get like number 2 or in the top 5 in pre-orders?
Listen, not too many games. Not too many.
Okay, we'll see.
I'm just saying. Listen, you know, I've been very skeptical. I've been skeptical for a while. But
you're also a reformed, recovering
but I also said
Destiny crackhead. So your words have to be measured by that.
No, I'm just saying they had to give people a reason to want to come back. And like Logic just said, with them going to this classless system, then that's just in final shape. And it's already being rumored, and that Destiny 3 is something that they're being worked on.
So this is.
I'm sorry. No. I find that funny because the only thing that I've seen rumored, and then we're actually backed up by people by it happening, is that Bungie veteran developers leaving the sinking ship. That's the only thing that I've seen. Them working. So if they are working, even I'm not saying they're not working on a Destiny 3, but if they were working on a Destiny 3, who's working on it? Is that would be my question. And to answer Logic's question about something old coming back to really recapture the minds of gamers, I feel this about looter shooters in general. I kind of feel like it's similar to how people view MMOs nowadays. Like where people ain't checking for them, and I don't think people are checking for looter shooters anymore either. The gaming demographic that was all for those games a decade ago, I think they're now playing different games, and I think it's going to be difficult to get them off of the games that they're currently playing right now, which is among those games that are now, like as we saw, the giants that have been out for 5 to 7 years. And are still in the top 10 on all the relevant platforms and going nowhere. I don't think you shake them with something that is already done. Because I feel like the reason why people stop playing looter shooters is that it's the time sink. It is the feeling that I can't play anything else. And that then when you do stop playing, you feel you are behind. But people want to play other games. They want to be able to go stop and play something else and enjoy something else, then come back to it. And I feel like they are losing something by doing that. And looter shooters have a grind to them that I don't think the greater population cares for, especially not like the Gen Z population.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't see that becoming the next thing, which is a return of an old thing. And then from what we've seen, that I don't see people going back to the old the old game genre like dominating the scene and everyone's playing that for a long period of time. So I think they probably will do a Destiny 3. I don't think it has anywhere near the impact that Destiny 2 did or Destiny 1.
So this is my hypothetical, and again, this is I think what we've seen happen over the last decade of the industry is that everyone has chased the Destiny model. And everyone has, except for the Battle Royale guys, everyone has tried to pick at the elements of that are the winning formula and create some shard or vector off of that. And most of them have not done it successfully.
True.
And quite honestly, the only thing that I think has ever been proven to be able to topple Destiny and unravel Destiny is Bungie.
Yep.
Also true.
Right?
I agree.
Also true.
They were masters of their own fate. They're the ones who fumble their own ball. And so with the hypothetical is that when you talk about like who's working on it, what I think the rumor mill has kind of talked about in the case that they've built up is that what you're actually seeing in the final shape were things that were going to go towards Destiny 3 that were pulled ahead as part of the return to green plan of the ending of Destiny 2. But that has also seeded like tons of ideas from where that thing is going to take off. Mostly this notion of a classless thing where in the future you won't have straight stick, hunters, warlocks, and titans, but you will just have this incredibly widely spread skill tree, and you will be able to essentially build your own class from picking from all of the different skills from all the different classes.
Wait, is that what you guys are hyped for?
It's less a matter. It's less a matter of me being hyped. What I'm asking is,
Bungie stealing ideas again. This is what they do. Look, I ain't knocking the hustle because that's what Epic or Fortnite has done to stay ahead of the game this entire time. Oh, that's a great idea. Hurricanes? You got a hurricane in the middle of the match? Go throw a hurricane in Fortnite. We're gonna do the same thing. Like that's what that look. I get it, but like that classless thing y'all talking about, yeah, Warframe introduced that last year. It's just like other looter shooters do things, and then they just go, "Oh, that looks cool. Let's take that. Let's take that." You know, like no Diddy, because that sounded very Diddy-ish. So, no Diddy. But they take that and then they be like, okay, yeah, we can do it. Which look, if it's executed well, then no one cares, right? But that's not a very original idea, which tells me that like as other developers and the publishers stop doing looter shooters because it's just not the end thing to do. And plus, like if someone's gonna play a looter shooter right now, they're just gonna go play Destiny. Where are you getting your ideas from? Because you've been taking ideas from everyone else to iterate on your game, but where are your ideas at?
Okay, so we get it. Forte and I say that's a win. Slow-mo says it's a bust. I guess we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yep. It's a win.
Yep.
It's like for me, looking at it, I was like, this is what they need. But this also goes back to what so Slow-mo, this goes back to what you saying. Like Logic just said that people been trying to pick at the formula of Destiny for quite some time now. So the biggest thing is, yes, Destiny is taking stuff from other people, but people
used to. No one's making looter shooters no more.
No, listen. What I'm saying.
Except for Ubisoft with Division 3. But I mean, there's a reason for that. Go ahead.
No, but I was saying, but this the thing though. But then, so the biggest thing you have to realize, they just had to. I truly do think that's the whole thing around Destiny 3. I do think that Destiny 3, a lot of the stuff that was getting implemented for it, just like a lot of the stuff that you saw in the Lightfall, was a lot of stuff that was supposed to be inside of the final shape, like stuff that they kind of just moved forward to bridge development because they had that extra year that they needed to, delay for Final Shape to come out. So they made Lightfall, which all the rumors at least came out to basically being. They just took stuff from Lightfall and moved it. I mean, from what's they moved it forward. I just think once they have an idea and once they like, if Destiny 3 was to come out and they hit the ground running, then it will be other people that will come up with, and especially if it's successful. And we're not saying Destiny 1 successful, because Destiny 1 successful was 21 million copies sold, literally in the first couple of months. Destiny.
I don't
2,
think that's the. I don't think with live service game, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying, but that was what.
Win.
I know that. I'm just saying, the win is MAUs, multi
right,
active users and stuff. So.
The win's really ARPU, right? I mean, Mao's good, but if Mao's not people spending money, then it doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's the one thing unique about Destiny 2, the fact that it's not completely free to play, that you actually spend anywhere from $40 to $100 for the game.
And that's why people have been chasing it, because that formula of you pay for before it went free to play, that formula of you pay for the game, you pay for story-based expansions, and then you pay season passes. Like in that there's, I understand there have been some forks and divergences from the baseline plan that has upset some people. But I'm just saying at its most basic, that formula where there's compelling content that leads some large chunk of people to plunk money down each of those times, that's been what the industry has been chasing, and they haven't successfully pulled it off.
Right.
In my opinion. So Destiny 3 launches, classless, maybe some other stuff. My prediction is that puts the industry in a chokehold for a 5-year run until they get bigger than they can handle, and then they screw it up again.
Until they get caught up. Yeah, exactly.
Let's hold on now.
Slow-mo says he don't think that they'll ever get. Slow-mo doesn't think they'll ever get big again.
No, never, absolutely not. Because people are done. When people are done with your franchise, they're done. That you can't even eat. And this has nothing to do with quality. It has nothing to do with like when you're done with you, they're done with you. They're not coming back no more.
Slow-mo. And people literally said they weren't. This is the thing. People were okay. So you're living off of the narrative of what Destiny was from the last.
I'm talking about history here.
6 months to a year, because people have been bored. They've been tired. It's been the same run-of-the-mill stuff that Bungie's been giving people.
How many? Okay, so Destiny 1. So you said 21 million copies.
Yeah, that was like the last reported number, 21 million.
Okay, how much did Destiny 2 sell?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You don't know? I almost guarantee you it was less than 21 million.
Because the 21 million was based off of the name of Bungie and them being the first one making another franchise shooter outside of Halo. So a lot of people bought it because of the name of Bungie, not because of Destiny. I mean, Destiny as a thing looked cool, because especially when they showed it off at E3 that year, they showed, the public event and all that stuff with the spider tank coming in. It was really cool. People liked that. But once they got a chance to play the beta and the alpha, and they realized that literally that's what Destiny was, literally Earth and the Cosmodrome and the moon was 75% of the base game, a lot of people didn't like that direction. So that 21 million dwindled down to like 5 or 6 or maybe 7 million people that consistently stayed with Destiny, and that was the number. And that was the number. And that's the number that stayed with them pretty much through Destiny 2 until we got into like the last 2 or 3 years of Destiny.
My point is that when you disappoint people, they stop paying attention to your game. And then they don't come back for a sequel because of how they feel. Now, if Destiny 2, I can't find the exact numbers. Maybe someone in the chat can. If Destiny 2 sold less than Destiny 1, and then you had even more people disappointed with the way Destiny 2 over time went, and they have lost a significant number of their community, as we can all agree to, and then they may get some of those people back for Final Shape, sure. But when it comes into a Destiny 3, you're more than likely to get less people than your previous 2 entries coming back for a third one, which may be fine when it comes to strictly like as we said, just strictly unit sales isn't as important as it once was. Getting those people spending money in the game, monthly active users, the other metric that Logic said, all that stuff is more important than straight unit sales. I just don't think that people care for looter shooters like that anymore. Like, I don't think that's going to be it. And we see things trending in a different direction. And there weren't the kind of genres of games that we see. None of the games that are on this list of the top games, except for a small few, were even out when Destiny 1 came out. So it's got different competition to build up its community and player base with than it will when it comes out in whatever years in the future. There's different competition now with way more staying power than their previous competition had, with gamers with very different taste in games and ways that they like to spend their time and hours playing games. I do not see it having the same impact.
Yeah, I just want to throw that hypothetical and have a few minutes to kick it around. I don't want to take up the whole night. I do.
I know.
When I win the bet, I just want to let you know that I like steak.
Listen, I don't think anybody, especially when you're talking about a live service game, especially a game like, I never expected more people like to come back for Destiny 2. Destiny 2 was all about fixing issues that people had with Destiny 1 and trying to get back as many people that they lost from the original 21 million that they got, in the very beginning. And I do think they succeeded with Destiny 2 in doing that. They didn't, of course, they're not going to bring everybody back. I mean, that's impossible. You're never going to bring back 100% of anything. Even if they brought back 50% of it, that's still better than most games out there. 10 million copies sold of a live service game that you're literally telling people that you're spending anywhere from $50 to $100 every year annually to get back into, on top of the microtransactions you're doing day to day, week to week, month to month in the game. And then, like I said, their biggest issue was content delivery towards the end. So that's where their issue was. And that's why people like myself and Luca and I won't say Taz, because shout out to Taz, he's in the chat right now. He already said that this is his last ride, no matter what Bungie does, until another Destiny comes out, because he said he's seen it to the end. And that's kind of where I am too right now. But I do know, you could just tell Destiny, when that DLC Lightfall got announced and launched, player sentiment dropped to the floor. People didn't like it. People were very upset with the direction. The game got boring. It got stale. People fell off. They hit all-time lows. That's when you started seeing them not hitting revenue numbers, and 45% down to the revenue numbers that they projected to Sony. You saw all of that stuff because people weren't pre-orders were down 50 to 60% on Lightfall. Not Lightfall, on what's his name? On the new expansion. But now that trailer, and trust me, Bungie has dropped trailers throughout the whole year.
Yes. This is no they trailers. They always drop trailers. Get you guys to jump back in.
No, they drop No, I watched all the trailers. I watched every trailer they dropped for every season all the way up until this point.
And this is the first, do this every time they do an expansion.
This is the first time in literally 7-8 months that I was like, oh, I'm paying attention now. I actually jumped into the game and actually was like, oh, I have to. Hey, granted, guess what? The things that they show people aren't going to be here until June. What are you laughing at, Slow-Mo?
Because this is like a broken record. This is I've seen this TV show before. I already know the ending. This happens every single day. They drop a trailer.
We're gonna enjoy ourselves.
That gets you guys. Let me finish. They drop a trailer. It gets you guys all excited, and then you play it, and then after like 2 or 3 days, you're upset. I don't like this. I don't like that. What are they doing here? The people fall off. I don't like the grind for this. Why they making me fish now? Why am I fishing? All this other stuff. They sunsetted my weapons. I'm angry. Blah 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 blah. I do this all the freaking time. I feel like this is 2018 again, 2019 again, 2020 again.
I'm gonna ask Logic, and we're gonna move on from this subject. Logic, I'm gonna ask you one thing: how many games, or publishers, or developers, or just people in general would kill to have a game that literally, when you drop a trailer, you excite most of the player base you have left and make them go out and pre-order your game? How many people would? How would you feel if you had the power to do that? Game Logic, if you had that type of power, how would you feel about that?
Well, not only that, I mean, but like, and I get it. Full respect for all the opinions who have been rendered. And Slow-Mo and I mean, Slow-Mo has spent more time with both games, but Slow-Mo and I both have played Destiny 2 and Warframe regularly, right? At, for some period, some amount of time in drum beats. And I like Warframe, and I appreciate what they do. It's an incredible machine.
1,600 hours of Warframe.
Okay, all right. Well,
you ain't played Warframe in like 5 years. Stop
no, but yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but I was there.
Your time in the game. The game is a completely different game than it was then.
I love Warframe. Warframe is listen. I love Warframe. The only reason I don't listen, if I ever jump back into Warframe consistently and I wanted to do what I did. Every time I think about playing Warframe, I think about what it took me to get into it. Meaning, I watch a whole bunch of videos and a whole bunch of how-to guys of how to do this, how to farm
basically
that.
What you gotta do with to get back into Destiny.
No, I already know Destiny because I didn't fall off like that. I remember
I'm not talking
what
about
I need
you.
to do.
You were not the only person that might potentially come back.
I'm talking about me. I just was talking about my hours played, meaning I was talking about me. I've been away from Warframe so long that, yes, I put 1,600 hours into the game, but when I sit back and think about my 1,600 hours, that was all done before season 14. So I wasn't there when they did all of the new single player stories and missions and stuff like that, and they changed up the whole dynamic of the game and they added arc wings and stuff like that. I wasn't there for any of that. So I had to relearn how to play that game again, and just thinking about the time that I put into it, I just don't want to do it.
That's not the point, and you don't need to, nor is that would that change anything as far as Destiny's direction with Final Shape, because Warframe is not Destiny's competition.
We're not saying it's competition.
Okay, but it's just like there's no purpose. Like the people in the chat talking about, well, Warframe is what? No, Warframe's not your competition.
Right. All I was trying to say is the difference between the two games, right, is that because we're talking about market uptake. We're back to talking kind of about pie, right? Perception, image, and exposure, and how that motivates consumers, right, to go out and spend money on the market. And all I was saying was that Warframe's a great game. It's got tons of longevity. I'm very impressed by what they've been able to pull off. It's amazing. Nobody talks about Warframe. Right. And quite honestly, unless another gamer like us leads people to water to drink, like Warframe, Warframe only propagates today, right, by word of mouth, right? So whereas Destiny 2, right, like kind of like Forte mentioned, it drops a trailer and it sets off a bunch of hoopla. So all I'm trying to say is I think that the Destiny as a brand has a certain id around it that plays on the market. And I just think if they do come out with a Destiny 3 and they start putting out, marketing collateral about a Destiny 3, I think people are going to be there. I'm on Steam right now, and just because a lot of the stuff that Slow-Mo has said has made me angry, I'm about to go buy Destiny 2 again, because that whatever the sales numbers are, that the diehards have bought Destiny 2 probably about 2 or 3 times.
I bought it 3.
Because you can never understand what the damn like which thing you need to buy is once you lay off for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm about to buy the $99 thing just so I have all of Destiny 2 again.
Do it.
Guess what?
They need that.
Guess
they
what?
need
I
it.
bought it.
They
Guess
need
what?
you.
Guess what?
They
No,
need
buy
you.
it. Buy it on Green Man.
And Forte, but buy
I
the
already bought it.
$99 version on every platform. They need that. Please do that. Matter of fact, y'all in the chat, go do that. Go spend $300 buying it on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. It is necessary that you do that. And they still won't do better than Valorant, Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, freaking Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Grand Theft Auto 5, Rocket League. Did I miss something? No. Apex Legends, Call of Duty, they still won't outdo those games. That's your competition, not freaking Warframe with your straw man arguments. Warframe is irrelevant. Not talking to you, Logic. I'm talking to the guys in the chat that are in their feelings.
Gotcha.
Those are the people I'm talking to. Y'all know daggone well Warframe is not your competition. Y'all out here throwing it out there like a straw man argument while ignoring the bully that's right around the corner. The bully that has taken your players all last year and this year. Yeah, those games. That's the games you need to compete with to get your players back. You guys have been I'm not done yet.
Oh, you
guys
okay.
have been waiting for a glimmer of hope from Bungie so you could jump back on the bandwagon and say everything is great again. It's not great. It's never ever going to be great again. Get over it. It's over. It's done. You are done. You are finito. You are the overhill boxer who thinks he can still take a punch. You can't. You're down in the second round and you suck now. That is where Bungie and Destiny is. All of their devs are jumping ship in 2025. Ain't nothing you can do about it. When Marathon comes out, it is a wrap for them.
Did I mention last night I saw a level 350 on COD with the Gorilla Glove.
Oh man!
Wow, that man spent $80 on that just to get a glove. Ain't nobody doing that in Destiny. Just saying.
Man.
Oh man.
Slow-mo, you are a piece of work. Man just literally said all these things. Hey man, listen. You can say all the things that you just said, but one thing is for sure, like you said, all of these other games are the bullies, and Destiny is just a game that just hinders players. But have you ever thought the fact that, like Logic said, the only thing that really
Destiny,
got the Bungies.
Destiny is Muhammad Ali.
No,
but not in the Muhammad Ali in his prime. Muhammad Ali, like his last 5 fights, where he was like clearly getting killed. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you, like you said, they're hemorrhaging players. But like Logic said, the only one that have truly been able to take down Destiny is Bungie. And all of the things that's happened to Destiny over the course, it wasn't because another game came out, it was better. You got to remember, Destiny has persisted when all of these other games have been a thing. So it's not the fact that Destiny is losing. See, this thing people got to realize, Destiny's not losing people to other games. People left Destiny because Destiny wasn't what people wanted to play at that time anymore, because Bungie wasn't giving people what they wanted. If Bungie gives people what they want inside of Destiny, those people come back, because all this stuff, all this smoke that you puffing right now, with your chest up in the air, you keep forgetting that Destiny was around in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, when Fortnite came out, Apex Legends came out, League of Legends been out. All of these games you were talking about have all been out.
Those games have been on an upward trajectory the entire time. And Destiny's on a downward trajectory. This is what they call it's called being over the hill. Okay?
What kind of game is all those games
will eventually, doesn't matter, because it's all about
what are they?
Active players.
What kind of games are those? Yeah, what are those kind of games you just named? What kind of games are
those?
Royales.
Mm-hmm. They're battle royale. They're straight up multiplayer, like arena shooters.
Okay.
You got I mean, some of them, I don't know what you want to call Rocket League. Roblox is a collection of games. Valorant is a hero shooter, but you know what they all do?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
they all have higher concurrent numbers than Destiny does.
But yeah, because guess what? Destiny isn't doing what they're doing. The one thing about, like you said, multiplayer, they have multiplayer. Like Destiny has multiplayer in it. That they neglect.
They ignored and abandoned for years.
Yes, they neglected. So the bigger part of Destiny is all of the
Can you imagine
stuff.
Call of Duty not dropping a map in like 2 or 3 years? Ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right. Guess what? And people will still play Call of Duty just as much as they play it now because it's just ingrained in people's psyche that they need to play Call of Duty. But that's the thing. Destiny's biggest side is the thing that they have to curate content for and keep people coming back for on a story narrative basis. They have to do that, where these other games, they can just come out with events and stuff around PvP and focus around, heroes and stuff like that, or bring out a brand new hero. So they can do things season to season to make the overall experience different, where Destiny has to have compelling content inside of it, new events, new single player or co-op adventures that ain't the easiest thing to maintain over the course of a live, because that's like the live service. Like the things that, we're not going to take away from Epic what they do with Fortnite. The whole studio's working on it. They've been working on it for the last 5 years. That's all that they work on. The only thing about the only other studio that does what Destiny is doing, which is The Division. They do exactly what Destiny's doing, more in a more settled way when it comes to like a more realistic approach, even though it's not realistic at all. They have to come up with a PvP mode. They got to come up with convincing stories. So I always tell people, if you want to compare Destiny to anything or anything to Destiny, it's always going to be The Division, because they have the same thing that they're trying to do, but they're doing it in a completely different way when it comes to a more mannered approach when it comes to games overall. But I don't want to keep on going over this because all you're going to do is keep talking all this crazy stuff that you've been talking.
It ain't crazy, it's facts.
And hating on the fact that people actually enjoy what they saw.
I can't hate on being over the hill. I mean, it's time has come. So sometimes, somebody need to come tell you, hey, look, it's time to wrap it up. Before it's too late, and you end up shaking and with nerve issues.
I hear that's what they say about your knees, Slow-Mo.
Y'all gotta get personal when it hurts. When these truth bombs hit too close to home. It's okay. My knees are fine, actually. My knees are great. My back not so much, but we ain't gotta talk about that. Let's get back on topic.
Back on topic is, do you already have the DPS channel already up and running, or do you have it ready?
Yeah, I've been had it ready.
Okay, so get that started up and I'll search for it so we can transfer over for the last topic. Just to let everybody know, on Steam, Counter-Strike is the #1 played game. Dota, Helldivers. Shout out to PlayStation for having a game out there that people want to play in a multiplayer arena. I'm so happy for them. Then we got PUBG, Stardew Valley, Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, and right at the #9 spot, where it ain't been, dog, this game hasn't been in the top 20 in like 6 months. Destiny 2. But we're gonna move on. We're just gonna move on. So Soma, let me know when you're ready and you got everything set up so we can so we can move on with this topic and going on to the next thing.
So good. Let me whoops, almost didn't. Whoopsie. You know what? Give me a second.
No,
I had to switch something.
You know what? I take logic. I take everything I ever said about you back. You don't always agree with Slow-Mo. You are a very rational person when you get a chance to know it. You're rash. I appreciate your opinion, sir. I appreciate your opinion even when you agree with Slow-Mo.
All of a sudden, he appreciates your opinion because you like Destiny. That is crazy.
Because I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know that he liked Destiny like that. But I also
so that changes everything. But he likes Destiny now.
No, but I also just said that I always expect his opinion. But I'm just saying this because you like
smoke. Destiny. I now enjoy all your opinions.
He got good taste. He got good taste. Anybody that wants to run around and get sniped in the shoe in Call of Duty and thinks that's a fun experience they're lunatics. I'm sorry, lunatics. I can't do that anymore. Man, I've never played a game where my KD didn't matter. When I play that game, I don't care about my KD. I'm just running around because Taz and Slow Mo are
it
like,
matters to
can
me.
you come play with us? Can you come play with your friends?
My KD matters to me.
It matters to me, just not in that game.
All right, I am live on the DPS channel.
I got you.
Throw the link into the chat for those watching the replay, so you'll be able to join us over there. Get some more, continue the truth bombs on Destiny.
Well, we're done talking about that. We're talking about some Star Wars now. Once again, guys, really go ahead.
Nothing. I was just gonna be slanderous.
Oh yeah, stop it.
Go ahead.
No, once again, appreciate everybody that's coming through. We are going to transition to the other channel. So if you don't get the live redirect, which you should do for everybody, you'll end up on the DPS channel. There will also be a link inside of the chat where you can just click on that Slow-Mo just dropped there at the very bottom. So we will see you guys over there. And shout out to Gregor saying Slow-Mo up here cherry picking their competition. Absolutely, sir. That is how he does. So thanks again. See you on the other channel.
No,
and
I really hope you guys enjoy, the final. What's the expansion called? The final round.
They can't